of our Earth.
Hello, everybody. I'm Karin Stein. I'm Iowa organizer from Moms Clean Air Force. We are a nationwide organization of over 1 million members, caretakers of all ages, and our mission is to fight to protect children and vulnerable communities in general from air pollution and the effects of the climate crisis. I have the honor of interviewing women in my state and near my state whose work I admire, who have been colleagues on certain projects, and whom I am just delighted to present to our viewership. So today I have Kerri Johannsen. Kerri, welcome. Why don't you please tell us about yourself personally and your work?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Karin. It's really fun to be here and talk to you today. So I'm currently the Energy Program Director with the Iowa Environmental Council. I've been working in energy policy for about 15 years in a variety of different aspects, from federal legislation to state level work. I worked for our utility regulator in the state for a number of years, and then have been with the Iowa Environmental Council for about 5.5 years. And I really love my work. One of the things that really drives me is my family. I am a mom of two. I have an 11-year-old son and then a 19-month-old daughter. And so, thinking about the future that they're facing, the world that they really deserve, is really one of the things that I always come back to when a day seems long or a fight seems hard, that, keeps me going.
You just alluded to the fact that having your children is what drives you forward. What are your main concerns for your children, for all of our young? What can our communities do? And tell us more about what you're doing, just coming out of what you described as your activities. Those are really 3 questions, but go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, one of the things that I worry about is, with the kinds of choices that we're making now, with the, energy sources that we're continuing to stay focused on, and the way that, this pathway will drive increased climate change, how are we just limiting the options that our children have in the future from a whole variety of standpoints, from what kind of education or jobs are available in the future. Every time we are able to go and see something beautiful, that is, a place that is touching to, my son who's older, for instance, and he says, I want to bring my children here someday. I think, will it still be here? Will this beautiful place and the way that we've been able to experience it be, irretrievably changed by the time that, if he's a parent someday? And so, that's definitely the part that pulls on my heartstrings. I think also just even from a standpoint of finding a place and a space to feel safe and to feel secure and happy. And I think it's very tied together. I know that every little bit we do now to address the climate crisis means a future that is a little bit more open and a little bit more friendly to our kids and the people that we care about. And that in the process of addressing the climate crisis, that building community and connections and that deeper sort of understanding of what we need to be healthy and happy in community is a huge part of the climate work. And so part of what I think about, I'm kind of I do a lot of more like techie kind of work. You would think, we do interventions at the utilities board and dockets, and, I lobby up at the state legislature for policies that will help with renewable energy and energy efficiency, and think a lot about transmission lines and transformation of the energy system. But the first thing I always want to start with is like, call your mom, call your sister, call your friend and find that connection, so that you can keep doing the work that needs to be done on a daily basis, and that we can build something that's stronger, and more connected. Because one of the things I don't want to see is a world that is both in environmental peril, and peril from a social standpoint, because I think those connections are what will get us through.
Yes, yes, I would 100% agree. So as you engage, you referred to two things. First, your son's comment that he would like to bring his children here someday. That makes me think your son is being exposed to elements in nature. He's getting to know nature. He's getting to know how nature functions. That's number one. And then you mentioned the importance of engaging in your community. In my mind, taking children to nature and getting them, if an ant bites, so an ant bites. If you get muddy or your knee gets scraped out climbing a tree, so it does. But it's that personal connection that helps the caring. The same way I believe that connecting to a community lessens anonymity. And if we lessen anonymity, we care more. And we care more about people because we see them more. And we realize we connect a space with them. So I'm glad you touched on those two things, your children's experience outdoors and your connection to community. What prompted you to, first of all, what's your degree in, and what prompted you to enter this line of work that you do?
Yeah, so I have an undergraduate degree in political science and then a master's in public policy with a concentration on science, technology, and environmental policy. And I grew up on a farm in Northeast Iowa, and I grew up, spending all day, all summer long, climbing trees and building tree houses. And, when the creek would come up in the spring, we would just be in the water instantly, running wild over the landscape, and developing this real connection to the cycles of nature, and also seeing and hearing from my own dad about the way that farmers have a responsibility for the land and the kind of practices that he would do and use that were important to the environment. And so really from a very young age, this is something that I was passionate about and I felt a connection to. And then, as I was exploring where do I want to work? What's the area that I'm most passionate about? Because there are a lot of things I care a lot about and a lot of choices we can make about where we choose to spend our time. But I really saw this, around the time I was graduating from or in graduate school, I really saw this connection between the possible future of agriculture and how tied in it was to the energy sector. I think at the time there was a lot more talk about biofuels. Obviously, that's still a big conversation now.
Right.
But I ended up, really working on the electric path, which still is very tied into the future of rural America, how communities deal with siting of renewable projects and the benefits and how those accrue and all of that stuff. I just, those two pieces just really came together for me. And I've never, I find it endlessly fascinating as well. I feel like I never get bored because it's always changing. There's always something new to learn. And I feel like it, increasingly, as we deal more and more very directly with climate change, I feel very fortunate to get to do something for my work that I feel like I get to be some small part of a larger system that's trying to turn the ship.
Yeah. Here we all are.
Yeah.
That's very true. And from one farmer's daughter to another, I have the picture in my mind, except my picture, the little film that plays out in my head plays out in Latin America. That's where we farmed and that's where I grew up. But the concerns and the land stewardship feeling gets translated across cultures, and that sense of responsibility and wondering, how do we take care of this? It's been really wonderful to talk with you and to allow our membership to get to know some of these wonderful people in and around Iowa who help us do the best we can to ensure a safer, healthier future for our children. Are there any last thoughts that you would like to send us off with, Kerri?
Like I said earlier, nurture those connections, call your people, do things together. It's always easier to, if you're going to take an action, to do it with a friend, to make it joyful, because these are hard conversations, they're hard fights to have, but they're worthwhile. And we're all in this for the right reasons. And so, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today. It's great to see you. And I hope we get another chance to talk soon.
Oh, I'm sure. And it's been always a joy to collaborate with you on any projects that we can do together. Thank you so much, Kerri Johannsen. And until next time, take care.
Take care.
I want clean air and water, save our climate, save our earth.